Welcome to Capital Combat. The name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch, and today I'm going to recap this past Saturday's HBO boxing telecast, which featured Jorge Linares and Mercito Gesta in a 135-pound tilt. Then we also had Matthysse in a welterweight showcase versus Tewa Kiram. Now, I gotta apologize to Kiram because I straight butchered his name in the preview video, but a lot of that had to do with not really knowing anything about him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about Linares, Gesta, then get into the main event. So in Linares and Gesta, we had two very good, very talented lightweights vying for the IBF strap that Jorge Linares currently owns. And this one pretty much went the way that I said it would in the preview video, where the footwork of Linares, the hand speed, would be too much for Gesta, who can be handcuffed very easily by movement and someone with fast hands. Sort of like he did against Miguel Vasquez in his first title shot. Now, another good thing that Linares did to keep Gesta handcuffed was keeping his feet in the proper place that you would when you fight a southpaw, and that's to the outside. He also had a range difference, whereas you hear a lot of times people say the head moves but the body doesn't. And what Linares did was he kept his body at a range where even though his head was moving even late into the fight, his body was at a position where Gesta, even though he's not really that big of a body puncher, if he wanted to get to the body, he still couldn't at the range that Linares was fighting at. And he was able to pick him apart from long range with laser sharp, straight rights, check hooks. And because of his foot positioning, he was able to pivot out of the way or back up very easily, making Gesta have to reset and work on getting to him again. Of course, as Linares slowed down later on in the fight, Gesta did catch him with a few good punches. But one of the things that we were hearing on the broadcast side was that because Gesta was a converted southpaw, his left hand never really developed to the point it would have needed to be to really bother Linares, because he was in line for a lot of straight left hands that Gesta just didn't pull the trigger on. Probably because one of the things that Linares was doing defensively, and two, because it's not as developed as someone who would be a natural southpaw would have for a straight left hand. And like I said to you guys in the preview video, he's very right hook happy, and now I know why. I've watched him a lot, and that tidbit of information kind of slipped my mind. I may not have known it previously that he was a converted southpaw. I know that he, like I said in the preview video, was touted as the next Manny Pacquiao because, you know, he's of Filipino heritage, he's a southpaw, and he was doing pretty well coming up. Unfortunately, it's a little different because we know Manny Pacquiao has an excellent straight left hand, but Gesta just didn't develop his in the same manner. So Linares was able to time him, get him with some snake-like right hands, pivot right on out of there, and have to force him to reset. So he was able to come away with a hard-fought, pretty wide decision. He did have to work for it because Gesta was there the whole time trying to win. And you got to give it to Linares for just working his plan, working his style, and coming out with the W. So on to the main event. We had Matthysse moving up to the 147-pound division, wanting to make a statement. They found Kiram, who, like I said in the preview video and in this one, we didn't know much about him at all. So this fight was going to show us what we were looking at. And unfortunately, we didn't get much as far as an impressive showing from either guy. Kiram, you could tell this was his first fight in the big leagues. You know, this was first worldwide televised fight, first time fighting a known opponent, and the first time fighting outside of his native country. And all of that showed. He was very, he had a lot of trepidation in there. He seemed to be fighting nervous, and it seemed like the feeling out process went on for several rounds for Kiram. And unfortunately on Matthyse's part, he did every bit to oblige him. The same flaws that kept him from reaching the top against people like Zab Judah, Devin Alexander, Danny Garcia, and other guys who have given him trouble showed up again in this fight. He was never able to fully cut the ring off on Kiram, and Kiram circled the entire way for the majority of the fight, and Matthysse just was not pulling the trigger. He was not using his footwork, which, like I said, was an Achilles heel of his for a very long time. So because of that, this fight probably went 3 to 4 rounds more than it should have. So he did end up getting the knockout, and he ended up hurting and dropping Kiram bad with hard jabs, hard textbook jabs that you're taught the first day in the gym. You step into it, you fully extend, and you punch through that target. And as you see, it worked to devastating effect in this instance, with him putting him down hard twice in that 8th round before it was called off. So even though Matthysse did not look that great, he still got the victory he desired. He called out Manny Pacquiao, called out Danny Garcia for a rematch. And honestly, if he shows up the way he did this past Saturday, both of those fights end up very bad for him. But he says that he wasn't too motivated with the opponent, didn't know about him. Nobody did. But hopefully the next opponent is somebody he can get up for and at least bring the excitement that we know that he is capable of bringing. Because even the crowd was not into this, and I've never heard anyone boo at a Lucas Matthysse fight. That was something that was strange. And the action, while it wasn't terrible, it wasn't, I guess, up to what people would expect and what was billed from a Lucas Matthysse fight. So they, responded in kind. Unfortunately, that's how it is sometimes. And I'm not going to knock him or the crowd for that. Everybody has their preferences. But it's time to see what happens next. Personally, I don't think he should mess around with the top 10 for a while. He should get a few more wins at the weight, maybe 2, before he either thinks about either walking away or stepping up and seeing where he is as compared to the big league guys. And like I said, I think most of the top 5 or 10 is going to really give him some trouble. But you have to get in there and fight in order to find out the truth about that, because anything can happen in the ring, and we've seen that several times throughout all of our boxing fanhood. And so that's really it, guys. 2 quick, really quick breakdowns. Rob has not seen the fights yet, so I went ahead and broke them down and did the recap for you guys. But the next set of fights we got some fights coming up on the 3rd. Got a UFC fight night coming as well, and we'll probably get you guys set up for those. We're really trying to get into the Barclays to see Wilder and Ortiz live, and Hugo Centeno versus Jamal Charlo. Those are 2 very good fights, and hopefully we can get you guys some good technique breakdowns before we get into those, and get some live coverage as well. So look out for that too. If you haven't done so yet, hit the subscribe button. Follow us on our social media platforms. All the links are below. If you have any thoughts on the fights this past Saturday, leave your thoughts below as well. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, fight on.
Round 1 and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and cost. My fists are on fire. I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage. Keep thinking that it's a game. I kick rhyme, hurricane. I told them I don't play. I'm liquid.
The Black Street Fighter.